In our gospel passage today, we are presented with a very beautiful scene. At the Sea of Tiberias, a group of close friends have gathered together under front of a charcoal fire, as John describes, partaking of a meal. Present among them, of course, is Jesus and his apostles, Peter included. Together there's friendship. However, this is a setting for a very profound interchange between Peter and our Lord. About 4 or 5 days previous to this particular day, there was another charcoal fire. It was in a courtyard, and there were a group of people surrounded by the fire to keep warm. And one of them was Peter. Then the inevitable question was asked, you knew him, didn't you? Or you know him? No, I do not. A little while later, someone would say to Peter, but I saw you with his friends. I saw you with the group. You must know him. No, I do not. A little while later, another person. But wait a minute. What do you mean you don't know him? I've seen you with him. You have to know him. And for the very third time, Peter says, I do not know this man, with such conviction. This Peter, this individual who was questioned about who are you in relationship to Jesus, whom they just arrested? Peter, the Petros, the rock of the church. He walked with this man for 3 years. You heard him preach. He saw him perform his miracles. He believed in him as the Christ. He believed in him as the Messiah. And he believed in him as his close friend. And when Jesus needed him the most, because he was all alone, instead of rallying to his side as a sign of support, he not only denies our Lord 3 times, but he flees the scene in fear. Now we shoot ahead to the scene in today's gospel. They are together, this Peter and our Lord Jesus, and Jesus asks a profound question. Do you love me, Peter? I forgive you. Yes, Lord. I love you. Feed my lambs. Second time. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And for the third time, after all, Peter denied him 3 times. He must now affirm his love for the Lord 3 times. And finally, do you love me? And Peter now is rather agitated. Of course, Lord, you know that I love you. You know I'll walk with you. I will be... Oh, but I wasn't, was I? And Jesus says for the very third time, well then, Peter, I forgive you. Feed my sheep. And what Jesus says, saying to Peter, I know in your humanness what you did. And I know that you love me in spite of what you did to me. And I forgive you, totally and completely. And I know you love me, and I believe you. And because of that, I know you're going to form my church. You are still the rock. So what's the point of this gospel? It's reconciliation. It is no matter what the offense might be, and this was a big one. He denied God. Denied God. I forgive you. Now let's move on. Wow. What a powerful message Jesus is giving to Peter, that in spite of this horrendous sin that you committed against God, which of course Jesus is, I forgive you. What a lesson for us. God forgives. Oh yeah, we hear that over and over again, but do we believe that? Do we believe it matters not what we have done? It matters not how grave the sin might have been. If we have a contrite heart, contrite spirit, God forgives. And he says to us, do you love me? I forgive you. We somehow figure that what I have done is so horrible, no, God can't forgive me. And so I wallow in this guilt, in this shame, for God knows how long. So to come to realization, he does forgive. The power of God to forgive is present. It's so beautifully stated in that little section of the last part of today's gospel. When he could forgive Peter for the graveness of his sin, he can forgive all. Jesus says himself, I forgive. And so this really is a gospel of incredible encouragement. What's telling us is that no matter what the sin might be, no matter how grave it can be, no matter what the guilt is, no matter what the shame may be associated with the particular sin, let it go and know that I forgive you. Now move on. My relationship with you has not changed one iota. If we feel that this, what I did, is unforgivable, Jesus is saying, no, it's not. That's the good news about today's gospel. The good news and the message, which I think just comes right across. It doesn't matter what we have done. It doesn't matter how grave the sin might be. God forgives if we just turn it over to him. And that's so positive. That's so incredible that this God would do that for us. After all, he forgave Peter, what Peter did to him. So the message of today's gospel is forgiveness, I believe. Forgiveness offered to all of us as was offered to Peter. That irregardless of what we have done, God forgives.